So what does making a massive difference mean? Okay. So making a massive difference, and this is me. I originally wrote I was going through the 6 questions that I always ask: who, what, why, where, when, and how. I learned to do that when I took an English literature course at Sheffield University and how to write an essay. You ask those 6 questions: who, what, where, when, how, and why. So I was going through the who and realized that I needed to then take a swift slap round the back of the bonds from my old English teacher, whose name was Mr. Du Sautoy. His ancestors came over with William the Conqueror in 1066 from France, of course, and he was the most brilliant English teacher on the planet. And every time I get something grammatically incorrect and I notice I've written it myself, I think, because he could throw a piece of chalk and hit a chap on the ear on the back row in the classroom. He was brilliant. And so I'm changing this to making a massive difference to whom. Okay, so who are we making a massive difference for? Well, I'm going to talk about lots of people, because this isn't just about your client. I'll talk about you later, but of course, you're probably coming here thinking this is about making a massive difference for the client. So let's talk about that, because absolutely, we are making a massive difference for our clients, but there's also a massive difference for loads of other people. So let's talk about your client. What do we do for our clients? Let's go back to basics here for a moment. What exactly are we doing for our clients? This is pomegranate and raspberry with elderflower. It's a mix of my own making. Actually, it might be quite nice warmed up, mightn't it? So when you are working with your client, I'm just talking colour here. I'm not talking style or wardrobe or anything else. I'm focusing on colour. What are you doing for your client? I hope to God you are not draping the poor woman to within an inch of her life, slapping a wallet in her hand and throwing her out of the door, because that is so passé. Yes, I did it. I am thoroughly ashamed to say, when I started my business in the early 80s, that's exactly what I did, because that's what everybody else did. And when training courses finally came along, that's what they taught you to do. Well, my approach to colour is so much more than that. We have to treat the entire person. So what kind of difference are you making for your client when you've shown her how to look good? Well, it's not just about looking good, is it? Because looking good isn't the whole result. It's how that client feels. So this is why I say it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is for the client. So my oft times quote is, if the brightest spring on the planet walks in and she wants to wear soft muted summer colours, I need to get out of the way, because it's not about me. It's not about me diagnosing the physical. It is taking people into account where they are right now. Taking them perhaps on a journey if they want to work with you, and your job is to make sure that they come back for more. And you won't do that by being what we were in the 80s, pompous, arrogant little chuffs telling people what to do. Yes, I know I tell people what to do, but now I do it with a lot more insight. I do it with a lot more care for the individual. It doesn't change my bossy red color psychology personality at all. That is one of my strengths. You need to discover yours and use your personality type to create a business around your energy, around the way you work. But back in the 80s, we just used to tell people, oh, you're a winter, you're an autumn, you're a spring, you're a summer. Here's a wallet, off you go. I mean, the arrogance, it's dreadful. We're dealing with human beings. We have to take them into account. This is why every colour course I ever do includes colour psychology, colour personality, whatever you want to call it. So Jackie says, we give confidence and help them to feel comfortable in their own skin. Amen. I would like to add to that, if I may. Not only help them feel comfortable in their own skin today, but help them become who they were always meant to be by taking them on a journey, perhaps, to discover who that real person is. Because why are they coming to you? Why have they come to you? They've not come, excuse me, to have their colours done. They've not come to be draped madly. They've not come to be told which colours to wear. They've come for confidence. They've come to learn more about themselves. Lisa, lovely to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. And Julia says, yes, I should have had something warmed up with. I should be warming myself up with something alcoholic. Absolutely. Later is the cry. What we have to do is take our client as a whole into account, because we can't make a difference if we're telling an emotional human being what looks good on the outside. It's nonsense, absolute nonsense, because what's going on the inside has to work with what's going on the outside. So if you're a coach already, or as well, and you're already working with people's inside stuff, maybe you're helping them with their mindset, or you're helping them achieve practical physical goals, when you work with them on how they look, when you add colour, yes, you can add style, etc. later on, but colour is fun. You can show them how to look good on the outside. And this is what happened to me. I make no apologies for continually telling this story. Until I was 24, nobody took the blindest bit of notice of me. Nobody. Everybody talked over the top of me. I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't even feel acknowledged. I thought nobody took any notice of me, and therefore I was worthless. Do you see the stupid assumptions and conclusions that we come to in this insular life we lead? And if you're a coach, you can do for your clients what happened to me. You can show someone how to look good, because when you look good, when I had my colours done, suddenly, properly, I was misdiagnosed several times. But when I finally discovered I was a winter and that I look absolutely fandabby-dozy in white, black and red at the time because I'd got very dark hair. Now I look much better in white, black and pink because I'm a cool winter now. But when I discovered that I could actually look good, and then I noticed the effects the difference that was making on other people around me. It made a massive difference for me. Massive. Because suddenly, without me changing my behavior at all, without me changing my thoughts about myself, people started to treat me differently. They started to notice me for the right reasons. Oh, you look good. Oh, you're looking really happy today. Pardon? And when people start, when the difference makes other people start noticing you, then that feeds back because it's just energy. We're energy, they're energy. We all communicate at an energetic level. It's frequencies and vibrations at different frequencies. This is light, color, human beings, even the chair you sat on. And the energy changes, the frequency changes, the vibrations change, and suddenly you're receiving compliments. I mean, after 24 years of not receiving compliments, it was a big thing to get my mind around. And I really wish I'd had someone to go to help me cope with that as well. Because I couldn't handle that. I was too reserved and too shy. It took me a long time to collate the two things, to put them together and make the most of them. This is why I do this work now. I don't want you to wait till you're 96 and in your wheelchair before you get it. This is why I've gone through several hundred years on the planet of not getting it and working out a way of connecting the two. Because this is the massive difference that you can make for a client. It's not just the client that changes. And in fact, very often, especially for a client who comes to you because they've got no self-worth, they have very low self-esteem. They're not being noticed, acknowledged, certainly not being appreciated. They suddenly start to be acknowledged, noticed, and appreciated by other people. And isn't that amazing that the difference happens through that vibrational frequency changing? Because when you look good, you behave differently. You might not think you're going to behave differently. You might not make a conscious decision to behave differently, but you do. You walk differently. You hold yourself differently. You stand differently because you know you look good. And then as more people pay you compliments, that's making a massive difference to how you feel as a client. You realize the power of what one little consultation can do. It's just astonishing, absolutely astonishing. And then when you start to add in the personality, the psychology side of it, that's what was missing for me. It was just physical, a physical analysis, and I could not get the physical and how I felt emotionally to me. We were going like this. We were passing like ships in the night. That set me off on this search to find, well, what's the missing ingredient? And it's always who that person is. How do they need to hear that information? Which part of the information do they really need and which don't they need? Some people don't need everything you've got to tell them. Really and truly, you've got to learn how to communicate with your clients. So Katie said, Katie, oh, hi Kim, watching you while I slave away in the office. Good for you, girl. Proud of you. Lovely to have you here. Helena, lovely to have you here too. And Julia says, I completely understand where you're coming from. Lovely. Isn't that fabulous? I do this because I don't want you to go through the crap that I've been through. The going down this road, that didn't work. The going down this road, and all the time there's this colour analysis, the results of this colour analysis, the physical results going down this track here. And I'm trying to emotionally and spiritually and mentally and whatever else all those other words are, trying to there's another part of me. But actually, the two are joined. And what we need to do is bring them together. We need to make the connection for the client so that the difference that you've done here of the physical colour analysis doesn't take years to catch up with the other way around, so that the mental approach, the spiritual, emotional, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't take years to catch up. Let's do the two together, because that is when the massive difference happens. When I've got that together, it just, I was going to say it blew my world apart. What it actually did was the opposite. It brought all the pieces in together and made me realize this is me. This is the individual Kim who is responding to looking good and feeling good and putting it together. And that's when I was able to start making inroads into who I really am, what I was put on this planet for, my life purpose. So for all those years where I'd got the physical and all the going on and constantly searching, I can't tell you how many how many avenues and roads I've been down of searching for a place to put it all together. And when I finally got it, it was like, and that is an amazing moment to savor. And I'm jumping ahead here, but a massive difference for you is when you see, when you feel your client get it. When I started to put the two together and I watched clients, I watched their brains, I saw their eyes, I saw their face light up, not just because of the colours in the mirror, but of what that was going to do to them. So from a practical point of view, what I always recommend is you do the colour analysis, the physical colour analysis. I would encourage you to aim for, if you've got the client in the chair draping her for more than 20 minutes, you'll spend a lot longer than that to start out with, but that should be your aim. The draping is not what this is about. You take the client out of the chair, sit down together somewhere more comfortable, but over the back of the chair that was in front of the mirror, you leave all the best drapes. So that's her best lightest neutral, her best darkest neutral, her best however many accent colours. It's all in the colour analysis training manual for all of the 4 seasons. Go and have a look. With the jewellery, is it gold or silver, with cream or white pearls, and you leave them all hung over the back of the chair. And then you go and discuss what that lady is going to do with that information. That's what this is about. That's when the massive difference happens, not the blasted drapes. The drapes are just your tools. Now, that didn't happen to me when I first discovered I was a winter at all. I just knew that I looked good and everybody else said I looked good, and I saw the results of wearing black, white and red at the time. I saw the results, but I didn't understand what I was going to do with it. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand where that could lead me. So I faffed around like a tart in a colander for lots of years, trying to find the answer. When I found the answers, that's when I started to teach this stuff. because it all made sense. Because the difference that I was seeing in my clients by putting the physical colour and the psychological colour together, the difference for them was massive, enormous, ginormous, huge. I could see people going out into the world and making a difference themselves. It's the ripple effect. Gita says, I feel I'm in constant search to put together all those pieces to get to know who I am, what I'm here to do, and who I can help. I believe that once you find yourself, the rest just unfolds before you. Oh, that's so beautiful. I wrote some notes earlier this morning in the same vein, but I'll come back to that, Gita, if I may. In fact, I'm going to copy it off now because you say it so much more beautifully than I do. I mean, seriously. Oh, dear. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Here it is. I'm going to just copy it in there. Thank you for saying that, because I want to be able to find it later. This is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. You see, when you make a difference for your clients, and we're talking about the ripple effect, do you realize what happens to the people that they meet? I'm not talking about getting you more clients. Of course, that happens as well. That's wonderful too. But that's not what I'm talking about here today. Your client goes away massively changed, and her brain's buzzing, and hopefully you've booked her in for a follow-up session, because you can't leave her high and dry. You can't. Please don't do what happened to me. I was just left high. I was given this consultation. There you go. You're on your own. And it took me years and years and years to, as Gita says, put together all those pieces to get to know who I am. I was left on my own. Don't you do that to your clients. Please book her in to come back and discuss, because some colour psychology types need to discuss it next week. Yellows in particular want to follow up a lot earlier than a blue. A blue will probably come back in a year's time, but a yellow may want something within the next month. Offer follow-ups to suit your client's personality, not just your schedule. It has to fit with your schedule, absolutely. But this is about what's best for the client. And when they go away and take this new information, this new feeling about themselves out into the world, it's going to change everything. Because it did for me. I mean, look at me now. Good grief. Here I am, this bossy diva that runs. I love running webinars. I love getting up in front of hundreds of people and talking. And yet I am a completely introspective introvert. I was destined for a life of 2.2 kids, a Volvo estate, and amateur dramatics on a Thursday afternoon. That might work for some people, but believe you me, that was not going to be a healthy life for me. I'd have probably jumped off a cliff if that had been my life, because that is not me at all. So what can the change that's happening for your client, what can you do to help that along? You can help her cope with other people's responses, because when you change, other people see the change, and not everybody's happy for you. Sad as though it may be, it is a fact of life. That would be really good with a good strong gin in it, wouldn't it, Julia? Although I bet you drink vodka, don't you? Julia has background, shall we say, that I think lends itself to vodka. I might be totally wrong. When you change, other people change too. Their behavior toward you changes. So, thousands of years ago, when I was a young whippersnapper, and this is before, well, just as I was getting into the world of colour, but before I discovered my own correct colours, and that's the wrong word, the colours that make me look and feel good. I did a short training course with somebody who came up with a great idea, and there were 4 of us on this course, and we were trying to learn. It was more about style, really. The problem was that colour was a very small part of it, and I realised that learning style first doesn't work. I don't care what you say. People always want to know what colour they need to wear, and it's colour that makes the difference. It's one of the first things we notice about anybody. And don't tell me that doesn't work for colourblind people or blind people. Yes, it does, because they all see colour is a vibration. It's not necessarily having to see colour through the receptors in your eyes. So don't give me that. I've studied this in detail. This is colourblind people and people who are blind feel colour, okay, because it's a vibration. Julia says, yes, but my Polish background put me off vodka. Right, okay. So have a gin then, Julia. Good strong gin. So this training course, there were 4 of us on it, and we were young, really young. So I was probably mid-20s at the time, and we were tasked to go to a big department store in Sheffield, where I lived at the time, and it used to be called Cole Brothers. Now, Cole Brothers was the place to shop. It was the Harrods of the North, if you like. It's now a John Lewis store, so it's become a bit more. But Cole Brothers was the place where, when I was buying my first home, I used to go to Cole Brothers every week and pay my money toward a Wedgwood dinner service that I was buying. You probably think this is crazy now if you're young and have never experienced this. Credit cards didn't exist in those days, and we had so much more. We felt we were buying so much more. And I've still got this Wedgwood service now. I've got dinner plates, I've got breakfast plates, I've got cereal bowls, I've got cups and saucers, I've got a coffee jug and a milk and a sugar. And I bought all those by paying weekly for them. And so I used to go into Coles on a Friday afternoon after work, pay over my money, and the lady would say, right, from your list, today you can take home 1 side plate and 1 bowl. It was so exciting, and I used to stand and watch her wrap everything in 73 sheets of beautiful, what do you call it, wrapping, you know what I mean, tissue paper. Oh, just the sound of that today. I just love seeing that, and then carrying this home, and that's what I purchased that week. It was fabulous. So that's the kind of place Cole Brothers was. I mean, it was, and they had a ladies' ladies' clothes department up on the first floor. And to get to the first floor, you had to go up the escalator. And I always used to get an electric shock from the escalator. Nowadays, they're all health and safety covered, but I always got. So that gives you an idea of my vibrational level. Don't mess with me or I'll zap you. So we were tasked to go to Cole Brothers, this very posh shop. And the 4 of us met and had a cup of coffee. and we were tasked to what to wear. We went upstairs, we went up that escalator, and we were wearing jeans and trainers, and probably, I would imagine, something like a Parker jacket back in those days, looking as though we were going to a football match, basically. Probably no makeup, probably just clean hair, but we were just looking as though we were out for a walk. And we went up the escalator, and our job was to be served. Now, that department, it doesn't have them now, shame, but that department was run by two very strong personalities who were absolutely brilliant at just looking you up and down and saying, you're a size 12, madam, and you need this size trouser and this size bra. They were brilliant. They've long gone, but those were the people that we had to attract. All four of us went up that escalator and not one of us got served. We walked around, we held garments, we even went into the changing room and I asked to try them on, and not one of those, I hesitate to call them assistants, but trained consultants, they didn't come anywhere near us. So we all trooped back downstairs, had another cup of coffee, lamented our woes, and went into the ladies to change. And we changed into a skirt with stockings and court shoes, and we put on a jacket, and we put on some lipstick at least, if not some mascara, and we combed our hair, and we went back up the escalator. And you only had to reach out your hand to touch something, and those assistants were there. How can I help you, madam? I hadn't changed. The amount of money in my pocket hadn't changed, but my appearance had changed. I looked as though I had money to spend. I looked as though I could afford to buy the clothes from that very expensive shop. And that's what they were responding to. That one change of outfit made a massive difference, not only in the fact that I was now being served, but it made me feel good. And I started to walk differently. And I realized, and this has become my byline now, it's in my email signature, what you wear tells other people how to treat you. And I don't care whether you think it's right or not. I couldn't give a monkey's uncle. The fact is, that is what happens. And when you show your clients how to dress appropriately for the occasion, they will be treated better. I am living proof. And I've done this for so many clients. So as I say, if you're a coach already, or you offer coaching alongside your image services, whatever you want to call them, you need to help your client cope with the difference in attention that they're going to get, because suddenly they might be encouraged to part with a few more pounds than they had anticipated, because these consultants are very good at their job. When you move into a private boutique or a private boutique environment where the consultant is paying you lots of attention, they can talk you into buying stuff you don't need. So part of your coaching needs to be to help your client buy what she thinks works and not what a fashion assistant thinks works. Marta and Judith and Shahet, lovely to have you with us. Thank you for joining. Excuse me. We're talking about making a massive difference for your client. Of course, it makes a massive difference, but it's what the ripple effect does. The massive difference is other people start treating your client differently. They change their own behavior because they feel they've got more self-worth, they've got more confidence. And then they start to become who they were always meant to be. It's massive. Don't you dare underplay it. Don't you dare, because this saved my life. And it saved the lives of so many of my own clients. So what I want to say to you is, if you love colour and you want to make a difference to help people become, I don't know, the best versions of themselves, start by showing them how to look good on the outside, because then they'll start to realise how fabulous they are on the inside. But for me, the massive difference that you're going to make for your clients has to start with you. Now, I'm not talking specifically about you going to have your colours done and having this happen to you. That is not a requirement to be a colour consultant. Let me put this in perspective for you. The majority of gynecologists are men. It is not a requirement to have had a baby to become a gynecologist. All right? Okay. So if you are, if you're thinking of becoming a colour consultant, or even if you've already done your training, what are you doing with that information? What is the massive difference that this could make to you? Because the massive difference starts with you. If you don't feel it, they won't feel it. This is all about communicating with your client on at their wavelength, which is just the vernacular, the colloquial way of saying your frequency or your vibration. You have to be on their wavelength. Because when you start running a business, when you start getting out there and changing people's lives like this, the impact on your confidence will be phenomenal. You'll be running a business. What an example to set to your children and all those people around you, especially those less than encouraging members of your family, friends, and colleagues who've been putting you down all your life, who've told you you're rubbish or you'll never amount to anything. Show them what you're capable of. And it's not difficult. This will allow you to put some ghosts to rest. And also, do you realize what this will do for your income potential? Do you realize how much you can earn from a colour-only business? Because that's what I ran for. Well, there is some argument in my own brain whether it was 17 or 19 years. So if you've got a pen, I worked some figures out earlier because I knew somebody would ask, and it's only fair. I only ever work on a 48-week year. That gives you 4 weeks off for holidays and lying in a heap. So you could start part-time. And this goes whether you've already done training or whether you haven't. So in my colour analysis training, I recommend you practice on 5 people for about a third of what you're going to charge them eventually. So the figures I'm using are just nicely rounded, so they divide by 3, all right? This is not what I'm recommending. So if you charged £50 or 50 whatevers you do, $50 or... So if you charge 50 for one client and you had one client a week, this is while you're practicing, over a year you would earn £2,400. If you had 2 clients a week, that would be 4,800. My fabulous colour analysis training is £697. If you add on drapes and swatches, now I'm just going to use my Improvability Colour Analysis starter kit as an example because it's easier. That's £375. And the most in shipping you would pay for that is courier fees of £50. If you're in the UK, you'll only pay £10. If you're in Europe, you'll pay £28. So the maximum is 50. So if you add all those three up, you're going to be paying £1,122. That means you've got your demonstration colour swatches and drapes for life. You never need to buy another one apart from those you sell to your clients, and you'll do that at a profit, won't you? And all you need is a mirror and a chair for your client to sit on. That's it. So even if you only saw one client a week for 1 year and then never did anything else with this, you invest 1,100 and whatever, and you earn 2,400, you've made 1,300 profit. If you saw 2 clients a week for 1 year, you'd make 3,700, no, you wouldn't, you'd make 2,600 profit. Don't know where I've got 3,700 from. Oh, no, you would, yes. 3,700, sorry. £3,700 profit. What could you buy with that? So I had a bit of a situation this morning, which I'll tell you in a moment. But what could you buy? Well, it took me years to see this. It took me years of a mentor of mine constantly battering my ears about it. But finally, I got a cleaner. And I'm paying my cleaner £10 an hour for £3 a week. So over 48 weeks, because she goes on holiday far more than I do, that costs me £1,440. If I saw one client a week at a minimal 1/3 of my retail price, that would pay for a cleaner. The same lady does my ironing now. Every 2 weeks or so, it costs me around £25. That's 650 over the year. And also, we have a gardener, professional gardeners. Steve's been this morning and had a bit of a close shave because Neil went out and said, well, in fact, Steve said, Neil, your gutters are all clogged up. Normally our window cleaner does that, but because we've had terrible rain, the window cleaner hasn't been near us for, I don't know, since about September. So Steve says, well, I can do it for you, no problem. So Steve was up a ladder, clearing out the guttering, and I stepped out of the shower. Thank goodness for frosted windows is all I can say. Or we might have had a bit of a moment. Ah dear, he didn't need a danger money for that. Ah dear. So over the year, Steve probably costs us, the gardening services, about £500. All three together cost us about £2,500. But it's the time saved that counts. So my cleaner, 144 hours, the ironing, about 50 hours, gardening, about 20 hours, that's most because he only comes every month for about an hour and a half. It's not just that time. I hate gardening. I'm a minimum 5-star girl, darling. I do not do the gardening. I do not do anything dirty. I can't stand ironing and cleaning,
It's the time that I would spend looking at that ironing hanging up thinking, oh, God's teeth, I've got that to do. Or looking at the bits on the floor, or the windows that need, and they never get done because there's all that time that I would then spend feeling guilty about not cleaning, not ironing, not doing the gardening. And believe you me, I can earn a lot more than £10 an hour, or even £20 an hour, or whatever. This money that I spend is an investment in time that I can spend creating programs, spending time with clients on the phone to make a massive difference. What I'm doing is reinvesting the money I earn from my business, paying other people to do what they love. Strangely, they all love doing what they do. And they put money on their table, and then I get more time to do what I'm good at. Now, what if you raised those prices? Because again, in my colour analysis training, I then suggest that you've practiced on 5 people, maybe 10, and you raise your price to 2/3. So now you're charging 100. Well, if you saw one client a week for 1 year and you've invested £1,122 in the training today with the drapes and wallets, you would still make 3,700 profit. If you saw 2 clients a week for 1 year only, this is part-time, you would make 8,500 profit. Some people don't get paid that in a year. But then when you raise your prices up to your 150, suddenly, if you saw 2 clients a week for 1 year, you would make 13,300 profit. What would that buy? Would that allow you to give up your job? Would that allow you to then become a full-time colour consultant? And instead of 2 clients a week is 1 day. It's a morning and an afternoon, or an afternoon and an evening, or a morning and an evening, isn't it? It's 1 day out of your week. What if you could suddenly then work 2 days and see 4 clients? You would make 26,600. Do you know the average salary in the UK is 27,000? You could work 2 days a week, only seeing 4 clients a week, and you could earn a full-time salary. That's all I'm saying. The massive difference this could have. What would that do for your life? What would that do for your family? What would that do for your children? What would that do for your other half? It would allow you perhaps to give up your job. How long is a session, Marta says? Entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. Completely different webinar. How long is a piece of string? Could be all day, could be 2 hours. What are you offering? Who are you offering it to? Who are you selling it to? How much are they prepared to pay? What do you think you're worth? Loads of questions. I've mentioned this before in other trainings. One of my clients who lives 45 minutes up the motorway, she purchased her colour analysis training course and had her first full paying client 3 weeks later. She bought the training and the colour supplies and recouped her entire investment in 7 weeks. This one course alone is worth a minimum of 50,000 profit to you over, let's say, the next 4 or 5 years. It's a minimum of 10,000 a year. But if you invested that now for a minimum profit
of 50,000 over the next 5 years working 1 or 2 days a month. If you invested 700 now, plus your colour supplies and drapes, then you could earn the equivalent of the average UK salary every year, because once you've recouped your investment, you're totally in profit. So what would you do with it? Over the next 5 years, that's worth 140k. Over the next 10 years, it's worth 280k. Put it all away, pay off the mortgage, invest it in another property, or maybe use the profits right now to take a holiday, buy some new shoes, go out to dinner, whatever rings your bell, and make a massive difference to your client and to the people they meet as well. This is just huge, because the figures I've given you are all about one-to-one consultations. Do those to start with. But when you start offering small group workshops, you can earn a lot more money for the same amount of time invested. And Faye said, just to let you know, I've been getting on fabulously with your fabulous colour analysis course that you recommended. The colour and business advice I have found truly useful, and what you say about the client's psychological aspect really rings true for me. Okay, so what happens when you make a massive difference? Well, as I said, the massive difference for your client will not happen unless you are having a massive difference. You need to understand what you're doing for your clients. You can't make a massive difference if you just blah about it. If you're just walking around with your shoulders hunched and you don't really care and you're just ticking a list and treating her as though she's a lump of meat. The massive difference has to start with you. But when the massive difference happens to you, when you really start to think about what you can do for other people, and then you start to see it, you know, that moment I explained where the client gets it and you have the privilege of being party to that moment. And I mean, we talk about self-fulfillment. It just does not cover it at all. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, ooh, it's like for me, I feel it in the base of my spine. When the client gets it, it's like a physical connection. We're all connected to each other by cords, and those two cords are just connected, and the vibrational frequency is such that she gets it and you feel what she's feeling, and it's just beautiful. It's a moment of, I don't know, just gorgeousness, adorability. And when you feel that, when you see what you can do for other people, your confidence goes up. Gosh, I did that. Your self-worth goes up. And you start to set a massive example to those who respect you, particularly your children perhaps, and maybe some of your friends and some of your family. And you know, the rest of them, you can stick it up to them, can't you, and say, look what I can do. You can show the world what you're made of. You can show the world that you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Because if you are not becoming, I'm not saying you have to get there and be there before you can make a difference. Don't think that's a pile of crap. when you are in the process of becoming who you were meant to be, you only need to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of those, your clients, those you're helping to become who they were meant to be. And as you help them, that helps you have an even bigger transformation, because that's what this is about. That's what massive difference means. It means a transformation. You're helping others to become who they want to be, who they need to be, and you change as well. You transform as they transform. You become better as they become better. They go out into the world and they change people and it becomes better. And you carry on getting better and better with each new client, and the ripple effect goes on and on. And we start changing people massively, one colour client at a time. If you love colour and you really, really want to make a difference, start by showing them how to look good and feel good. Let them start to realise how fabulous they are on the inside. The massive difference starts happening to them. Their friends and family start seeing the difference and everything changes. The massive difference, as I said, has to start with you. The question is, are you ready for this? Do you really want to make a difference? Or do you just want to talk about it? What excuses are you using today to not get out there and make a massive difference in one person's life? As Geeta said earlier, and this is why I copied it, Geeta, because I've lost it on my screen. I feel I'm in constant search to put together all those pieces to get to know who I am, what I'm here to do, and who I can help. I believe that once you find yourself, the rest just unfolds before you. That is just exquisite. I love it. Thank you. I'm going to use that again and again. I will quote you if that's all right. Are you really here to make a difference, or are you just paying it lip service? Are you using excuses? Oh, well, I've got to put the children first, or I've got to put my, whoever it is you have to look after first, or I have to put my husband first or partner first and they won't like it. And just hang on a minute. Forget all that. Move all that out of the way, because they are brilliant excuses, but they are fantastic diversion tactics. What do you want? What are you here to do? You see, when you become, as Geeta says, when you find yourself, the rest just unfolds before you. When you allow the space for that to happen, when you physically and mentally and emotionally focus on becoming who you were always meant to be, the rest just unfolds before you. You become a better version of yourself. You've experienced a massive change, a massive difference, a massive transformation. And then you have the ability, the experience to help others experience their own massive difference, transformation. I challenge you today to answer that question honestly and muse on it and think, what do I need to do in my life to really make a difference? Because just talking about it does nothing at all. I know, I've been there. Gosh, on so many occasions, I am speaking from massive experience of procrastination. of avoiding the subject, of following bright, shiny objects, of making excuses about, I can't do this because somebody in my life won't like it. Tough. What are you going to do today to make that difference? I wish you a wonderful experience of wanting to make change. I really do. I really want what I want for you is what I want for you. I know. But really, as Neil said, what are you going to talk to them about today? Well, give it to them straight. Here I am giving it to you straight. I want you to use the power of colour. You have this stuff at your fingertips to make a massive difference in your life, in the lives of your clients, in the lives of your family. You can put more money on the table, you can get rid of a job, you can go on holidays, you can travel the world, you can take this anywhere in the world. Do you realize the massive difference you could be making right now? So stop watching me and go on and just flipping do it. Katerina says, I love your excitement about colours. I've never lost it, Katerina. I don't know what it is. Colours, Tudor history, rock music, rugby. There are certain things in my life. I've never lost my passion, my love, my total excitement about these things. Colour will always, always play a major part in what I do. And B says, thank you so much for your refreshing webinar. I must leave now. And so must I. I love you all. I want the best for you all. I want the best for your clients. I want the best for your family and your friends and your work colleagues. I want this ripple effect for you. I want you to experience what it feels like when that client goes, oh, I mean, I've just physically felt it. It's just all encompassing. And when you feel that, you change. Please just go out there and make a massive difference. Thank you.